Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Yesterday, one Israeli woman wrote me from the shelter how to deal with the situation, especially her son is hypersensitive and it's very difficult for him. This world is crazy. I wrote her, this whole world is crazy. There is so strong an energy, a food, who is influencing the actions of people. And unfortunately, the politicians are in control of that force, are controlled by that force, not in control of that force. They are controlled by that force. And as usual, as always, it's the people who suffer. Of course, after the bombings of the Israelis in Iran the day before, of course, there will be repercussions. The people are being manipulated by the propaganda machines in each country. I wrote her, it is very, very important in a situation like this to remember, to remind oneself again and again, your essence is ever pure, pristine. It cannot be touched by any of this. If one is in a situation like this and everybody is scared and everybody is full of anger, it's not easy to remember it all. But if we can do so, then the very intensity of the situation can help us to go that much deeper. And then it stops to be a problem. Then it stops to be terrible. Then the situation is as it is, and one deals with it as good as one can. On top of that, one can radiate that sense of being detached and calmness, and make it easier for those around to also let go of their fears, let go of their anxieties, let go of their hatred, let go of all that has been actually purposefully manipulated to come very strongly at the surface. We have always the possibility, but we have to remember. And when we remember, it's important then not to think, oh, in this situation, it's hopeless. We can always make an attempt, at least, to turn the attention back to the self, to the essence, to bring the attention to that which makes the experience possible. And then remind oneself again and again. Then even very terrible situations become bearable. One stops to be a victim of the situation. That is the great thing. People are being pushed in that victim mode, and once people are victim, they can be manipulated very easily into anything. If we stop being victims, even in very trying situations, if we remember there is always that aspect that is not affected, no matter what is happening, and we can consciously connect with that, then we stop being victims. Then we just deal with whatever situation comes. Of course, there are so many possibilities that there are unpleasant, destructive, hateful situations. But we can always turn the attention back. We can always bring the attention back, no matter what is happening. So many people are in very difficult situations now. So many people. Innocent people find themselves in situations that are terrible. But then on top of that, there comes that whole propaganda that makes it worse, instead of helping people to remain centered. All that propaganda is pulling the mind even more into stories, and the emotions go up flaring, and so much destruction is happening. We have always the possibility to turn the attention back to that which is ever pure, which cannot be polluted by anything that is happening. It is worth the trouble. So I said to that woman, please remember, remind yourself, connect. Not only your situation and your son's situation is improving, but you can radiate that and help all the other people that sitting in the same shelter. Also, when you come out and you talk to people, if you are centered, then you help others to also let go of all that unnecessary baggage that makes the situation much worse. These are trying times, but as I have said a number of times before, it is also always an opportunity. If the circumstances are very intense, if there is a lot of troublesome stuff going on, then it is always an opportunity to really go deeper. It's good to remember that, not to think, oh, it's terrible that the times are there as they are, that it's terrible what is happening. It is terrible. But we don't have to get into a depressive state because of that. We don't have to get discouraged because of that. We can always remember it's also an opportunity to use that intensity to go that much deeper, not to despair, not be a victim, not get all angry and worked up and destructive because of it. But in spite of all that is happening, turn the attention back to the source. Be yourself. And if we stop being victims, we become authentic. And then that inner beauty can flow into the body-mind and through the body-mind into the situation and make it already appear quite different. But of course, somebody who has never tried will not be able to even listen to such a thing. when the situation is very difficult. So it's good for us even when we are not in trying situations, when we are not in difficulties, that we keep on practicing that. Remember, connect, be aware there is that aspect that is not affected by what is happening. There is that observation. Be that aspect is fully aware of what's going on, but not affected, not pulled into the stories, simply getting richer for the experience from moment to moment. She also asked, that woman also asked, please, with your Sangha, pray for all that the people in the region. I mean, the whole Middle East, it's not one nation or the other. What's going on is certainly no fun. It's terrible what's going on. And instead of getting depressed, we can think of those people, connect with reality, with the essence, and send wholesome, healing, lightful energy. That is also prayer. And then Mariano, he asked a question, and at the end of the question, he also said, let us all pray for peace in this world when everything is so crazy. Yes. In order to be capable of helping that the world can become more peaceful, we have to make peace in our mind. We have to stop resisting the facts, deal with the situations as they come. We can give a positive, creative intent in the current. That is always possible. We can do that as a pure intent. We can pray to God. But somehow or other, in order to contribute that the outer peace can manifest, we have to make peace in ourselves. And we make peace in ourselves if we stop being so concerned about our little personality, our likes and dislikes. We can have those likes and dislikes, but not be concerned about them. We can have our preferences, but not make our well-being dependent on them. But we can become more and more aware all the beauty, all the joyousness, all the happiness comes out of our own selves. We are the source of our happiness, of our sense of fulfillment. Now, Mariano's question was, what about art and spirituality? What about the ego of the artist? how, how can we somehow bring it together with spirituality? He's always very much acutely aware of his own ego when he is busy with other artists and their ego is coming out. Artists have an increased sensitivity. I remember having read Ramana saying once, because they were talking about the very good musicians, that artists have that sensitivity to connect, and it would be relatively easy for them. But unfortunately, most of the artists, they are interested then in their story, in their success, and they are not so much interested to really explore their own self. Art can be a great gift. Art is a possibility that inner divine beauty can be expressed. But whenever somebody knows to do something that is special, that is not very commonplace, and then people come and admire and make compliments, others come and criticize, then the temptation is stronger to slip into that mode, taking oneself very serious, taking one's own story very serious. And artists often then become dependent on the success of the feedback of the people and getting very worked up about all the critics about their art because they don't understand that their happiness is not coming from that side. So, Mariano, it's not different for an artist than for anybody else to deal with the ego. Just be alert, observe yourself, and if we look with an honest attitude at ourselves, sooner or later we always become aware, oh, there I'm just going again down the old way, taking myself serious, being very important. And we can consciously start to work on it to let it go. Not somehow try mental tricks that we transform that too much. Just let it go. And then it's transforming all by itself. And of course, if you are confronting other artists and their ego is coming out, it is not different from other people that are that have to do with people that are full of that self-importance, and somehow we can learn also not to take them so serious. If we stop taking ourselves and our role and our position and the feedback from the people so serious, then we also are becoming capable of not taking so serious what other people say and think about us or about themselves or about the world. We can always listen, and sometimes something very beautiful comes through, inspiring and helpful and supporting. But we have the right, when we see whatever comes out of people is so totally motivated in their self-importance, in their ego importance, then we can learn not to take it serious and instead of reacting and getting worked up. When you see other people and somehow their ego stuff is coming through, other artists, and then it reminds you of your own story, our own ego. Once we are really sincerely looking at ourselves, then of course many times it may happen that we think, oh God, still I'm reacting like this. Oh God, got me again, in spite of my better intention, but at least we are aware. And in that awareness, those old patterns, those old habits, they are not becoming stronger. But each time we see that we have been pulled into things by an old pattern, but we are aware of what's going on, even if it's taking a moment and we just sometime later become aware, but then in that awareness, we are not too happy about it, that it happens, and that very emotion of rather feel a bit disgusted about it helps us to let go the whole story. You need not stand in judgment over yourself. Just observe and see, there, this is again down that road. I don't want to go there. And the earlier you can catch it, the easier it is just to change directions. And even if we have completely forgotten and in situations that the old ego play has totally come out, then after that, no point in judging yourself, but simply be honest and see, it's still there, quite active. So let me let it go. Let me stop taking myself, the whole story, and the feedback from people so serious. So we are learning, artist or not artist. Okay, I leave the subject. And I'm asking you, my friends, if there is anyone who would like to come in and say something, you are welcome to do so.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Anton.
I'm with Raman now.
Hello, Raman.
He want to ask a question, but he don't speak English.
So he can tell it to you and you tell me.
Yes. He want to ask, how can you maintain a meditative state throughout your life, but not forget about it?
Right. Actually, that should be there naturally. That is our natural state. That can you hear the translation from dial? Because dial is
Yes,
focus. Ah,
yes,
yeah,
I will
very good.
translate. Okay.
Oh, very good. So, since we have learned unconsciously not to be natural, now we have to learn to be natural. And in the beginning, it is an effort. We have to consciously withdraw, sit down, meditate. But then we can learn to at least have that intention to bring that meditative state as good as we can in our daily life. Sometimes it will work, but many times we will forget for a long time. When you become aware, oh, I've passed again so many hours without a conscious thought, without having really a connection, then don't waste your time judging yourself and beating yourself up. But okay, got me again completely the old habit, but now I remember. And now you connect. You find your way how to connect. You find your way as it is easiest. You can do a simple thing like when you remember, you just consciously breathe and relax, and you're right here. You can do self-inquiry. Whatever you're doing anyhow, whatever is natural and comes easiest to you, use that as the help that you, whenever you remember, you use that help to connect. And if you do so consequently, then the memory will come more and more throughout the day, even if you are busy with people, even if you are busy with your profession. And if you consequently do so, it will sometime happen that it's simply there, effortlessly. You didn't do anything. But you just feel at ease, at peace, and connected. And then the mind comes again, and there we go again. And we think, okay, oh God, what did I do? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. That's old pattern. How we have been educated, how we grew up is simply too strong. And then we accept, okay, there is more work to be done. It helps very much if you have every day where you are doing nothing else. It helps very much if you have every day sometime you just not busy. You withdraw from being busy with anything and just are with yourself, or maybe in a group, and do nothing else but to be consciously alive here, now, in one way or another. And then learn to bring that attitude as good as you can, more and more in your daily life. But if you are catching yourself being completely off with your attention all over the place, just consequently at that moment, bring it back and relax. And so gradually it becomes easier and easier, and finally it will be natural again. You're welcome. Anton, did you want to say something?
Yes, I have only one question.
One question.
Who am I?
Who are you? Yes, you find out for yourself. Okay.
Only question for through all my life.
Yes, who are you?
And,
Who am I? You are
um,
that which makes this question possible.
who makes this question possible?
You,
Who?
you.
Who is you?
Actually, it's not a who, it's not somebody. But if you say I, you're touching something so totally familiar immediately. But then when we try to analyze and to talk it out and say it's like this or like that, then already we are off again. But if you just say I, there is something so totally familiar that is immediately there. As soon as we think and start to think, I'm like this, I'm like that, there, off we go. But just when you say I, there is something so ancient and so most familiar, the closest, and we know it not by thinking about it, we know it not by describing and analyzing, we know it by being. All our personal story keeps on changing all the time. The body changes, the mind changes, the relationship changes, everything changes. But there is prior to that something. Even when you were a little boy at 20 years old, at 30 years old, when you said I, it was touching that same most familiar sense of presence. Then many the explications are being given. It's Satchitananda, it's this, it's that, it's consciousness, but these are always only attempts to point at something that we cannot put into words. You cannot know it like you know mathematics as a subject that is studying an object, but you know it by being. You are that. And the question, who am I, is not a question that Schluss. Finally, we have the proper answer. It's simply one way to bring the attention back to that sense of presence. And there we just can let go. And then the experience will blossom by itself. The Upanishad may say You are Brahman. But it's also just a word for that sense of presence. It's not a definition. No teacher, no teaching has ever defined what it is. All definitions, they are simply pointers. And if we see them, they can be helpful as pointers. But if we think this is the truth, what they say, and then we are stuck with a concept and with words and already deviating from that. Just bring the attention back to that sense of presence that is always there first, before any thought, before any emotion, before any action, before any reaction. But we are overlooking it most of the time. Bring that the attention back to that and relax. And the experience of that will start to unfold. It may happen that you shift into a new perspective, but still the experience of that will unfold and the essence of it remains the same. That which you feel now when you say I, without another thought, just I. There's something so totally alive and familiar, the most familiar that you are touching. Okay, I think we leave it at that for now. Hario, Hario, Hario. Is there anybody else who would like to come in and say something?
Hello, Werner. It's
Hello,
Ravi.
Ravi.
So I do I I I meditate in the morning and I meditate in the evenings, and that's always been really helpful for me.
Yes.
And now I'm doing Abhyanga in the evenings. Um,
Can you explain us what Abhyanka is?
Abhyanga, so putting oil on the body. It's an Ayurvedic massage, yeah.
Yeah.
And because I'm putting the oil on my body, I've got the heater on in the room so the oil absorbs in my body,
Mm.
and it's quite hot. And so I've kind of decided not, and it feels harder to meditate in the heat. So I've kind of gone to just while I'm sitting there having a picture of Amma, eyes open, just opening my heart or trying to feel connected. Um, and then I'll put some bhajan music on and close my eyes. And then I might move back into opening them and looking at Amma. So my question is, I mean, I could also do the Abhyanga in the middle of the day and do the meditation, a proper meditation in my room. I actually do meditate in the mornings and usually in the middle of the day anyway.
Mhm.
But it's always nice to meditate in the evenings just to let go of the energy and get it's easier for sleep. What's the difference between, and so when I listen to bhajans, I don't sing the music. I just feel the music. What's the difference between a formal meditation where you might, and looking at Amma but eyes open and just feeling that connection combined with Bajan's eyes closed, or it might just be Bajan's eyes closed, or it might just be looking at Amma. Is one more effective than the other? The idea of meditating, eyes closed, no music, that type of thing?
Basically, you cannot really say there is a difference. It's simply good that you are capable to make that connection also without all the stimulants, like bhajan and like having a picture right in front of your eyes. But if you are doing that now anyhow with this abhyanga, then you can also do that and not think, oh, maybe I'm missing out of my meditation. If you think like this, then of course you are missing out. But if you consciously do that, consciously connect, then that is fine. But it's also good that you are doing other meditations where you are not having all the stimulants that somehow on a energetic, emotional level make it easier to connect.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
also possible when all those stimulants are there that I mean, we are maybe a bit more tempted to just dream away a little. And there you can be alert that you are not just slipping into a pleasant dream, but you keep that alertness in spite of the pleasantness of the situation. And then that's perfectly well as meditation too.
Mm. Yeah, I kind of wish there was more time in the day, but that's not how life works all the time.
Right. So we do with what we have, huh?
Yeah. Um, and um, you mentioned a while ago that you've been practicing um, like going outside and bringing up like just opening to the earth and allowing whatever your body needs mineral wise and
Mhm.
I guess maybe vitamin. What are vitamins? Do they come from the earth? I guess they might. Um, can you tell me a little bit more about that practice? Because I was potentially interested in giving it a go myself.
Mm. Right. It helps you very much to sort of not feel always totally estranged also in this world, in this place. There is a loving being that is the earth. It's not simply rocks and sand and water and all kinds of things. There is a being, a conscious living being, a powerful being that is sustaining all life on the surface and some life under the surface. And if we consciously connect with the earth, that helps us very much to be grounded and makes it easier to be quiet, at ease, at peace. And if from the circumstances it's possible, and that from the temperature and other circumstances is possible, it's helpful that when you do that, that you walk barefooted on the earth, not on the uh, beton, not on the concrete, not that you touch the earth. It's helpful. But you can also sit in a city in a high rise and connect with the earth. It's simply uh, another help if you walk barefooted on the earth and consciously connect with that loving, living being that is supporting your life. It's nourishing for the body, it's quietening for the mind, and it's very grounding for the conscious experience. People who are easily nervous and easily a bit spaced out, this kind of practice can help them very much to get grounded. and to be more centered, more at ease, more at peace. And then
I find it much easier.
yes, you
I
tell.
find it much easier to connect. Like I'm very drawn to forests, and at the moment I live by the beach, and it's energetically I'm not that. I guess it's on one level like where I am. There's not many trees, but it's still possible to connect if you just have that intention.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And there is another practice that goes very wonderfully together with it. That when you are doing that consciously, you can in between once in a while just again connect, but you can reserve some time where you are doing nothing else, where you're really connecting with the earth as a being. And it's very helpful at the same time. Well, sometimes you focus on the earth and sometimes you connect with the sun, which is also a nourishing living being that keeps all this solar system alive. Without the sun, there would be no life at all. And it's also not simply atoms that are fusing and uh, from our physical standpoint, a hell of a place with continuous nuclear explosions that send out energy. It's also a very loving, nourishing, living being. So the combination of the two, that for some time you consciously connect with the sun, grateful that it fills your body with life and light, and then you consciously connect for sometimes with the earth, grateful that it fills your body with all the minerals and trace elements that are needed to keep you in shape. Then you are benefiting a lot, and it's like your body becomes a bit like a connection between the sun and the earth,
Mm.
which is good for you, which is good for them.
Mm. When I go out of my house, like I connect with the trees, any trees that I see, or sometimes that there are only little plants, but I connect with them. Is that connecting to the earth, or is it having your feet? Yeah.
Not quite. I mean, connecting with nature, connecting with trees is wonderful also. A good exercise to feel something peaceful. I mean, connecting with trees, they are so peaceful beings, patiently standing there in the same place their whole life long. And it's connected with connecting with the earth, but still, you can directly connect with the earth as a living being. That doesn't exclude that when you go out, that you're connecting with trees and that you're having a great time being in nature and feel that benevolent energy there. But then there is something very special if you directly connect with Mother Earth.
So it seems just going out in the garden is enough,
Right,
and grounding myself that way.
sure, can happen anywhere.
Thank you so much, Werner.
You're welcome. Hario,
Hurry on.
Hario.
Hurry on.
there anyone? Antonio coming in again to say something?
Yes, Roma wants to ask.
Can we say that life is reasonable?
Reasonable.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Разумно. Reasonable.
Yes.
Yes. And everything happens when it needs to, and
This is nothing to worry about it.
understand?
Is that part of the question? Whether there is nothing to worry about it?
Yes.
Right.
It's the whole question.
Yeah. The whole damn story does make sense. That doesn't mean everything that happens in life is very reasonable. We may certainly often confront situations that are not reasonable at all, but still, even those situations we can use instead of getting all worked up, instead of resisting the fact of the experience. We can learn to accept, and that very exercise of accepting instead of resisting can help us to go that much deeper. We have come into this life not because we have to create reality or create the self. The self is there, reality is there, essentially remaining always the same. But the experience of that essential reality keeps on unfolding. And this human situation, with that continuous tensions that are being created between the pleasant, the unpleasant, having to make an effort basically just to be alive. Every morning we have to get up again. Every day it goes on and on. This all has the effect that something very, very precious is accumulated. And everybody goes out of this lifetime much richer than we came into it. Even people who have never a spiritual thought, just that bearing with that experience, that miraculous connection of consciousness and the body, and facing all the limitations that come along, that is harnessing something very precious. No pain, no strain, no effort that we are making is for nothing. Everything accumulates something precious, but we may not be aware of it. But that being who has gone through that whole story, at one point becomes aware and looks back and thinks, great, I went through all that. And even if it was not fun many times, it was not for nothing. We cannot say it is planned and reasonable, and so not everything is planned, but the greater things may be there, set up, that sooner or later they come, but we can learn to be present and make the best out of it. If we are going half asleep through our life, it's a very slow process and most of the time painful. If we learn to be awake, then we stop being a victim, and then we can more and more direct the show. And within short time, we can gain so infinitely more when there is consciousness, when there is awareness, than if we are going half asleep through our life and destiny is just banging us left and right and left and right. The more you are here now, the more you bring something, you let something flow in the current of events in this time-space continuum that is unique and creative. and not predictable. And the more things also have the tendency to fall in place. Still, there will be difficult situations, and we can accept, okay, it's worth the trouble to deal with them with an open heart and make the best out of it. Not resist, but learn to be self-aware there. And the more we are capable of being aware and alert in difficult situations, the more powerfully we are harnessing something precious that remains. Essentially, the self is not changing, truth is not changing, but the experience of that essential reality keeps on unfolding and unfolding, and there is no end to it. And we came into this human story to become more self-aware, to accumulate something very precious. And if we play along with it, then it can be quite fun even being in this world. If we resist, then it's very painful. And the more you are playing along with it, the more you feel the whole damn story does make sense. It's not for nothing that we are going through this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come? There is still time. We are 15 people here. Anybody would like to say something? I wondered myself previous, does it really make any sense to go through all this? And in the beginning, when I was with Amma, I was always after her and telling her to do something, to make something happen, to get me into some state, to make me realize to. And once she looked at me sternly and said, if God simply would give things like this whole creation would make no sense. And my immediate reaction at that time was, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And then she looked at me very sternly and she replied, and it came like from the bottom of reality. Yes, this creation does make sense. She said, before then the creation wouldn't have a purpose. And then she said, yes, this creation has a purpose. What could I say? I couldn't argue. And it took another 6 years that I could say, without a doubt, yes, she was right. This whole damn story does make sense. But we don't have to take it too serious. We can learn to be playful about it. But this experience of consciousness being connected to a body, to the different levels of the body, the physical body, the energetic levels of the body. Having to deal with the limitations in experience that come along with it, the continuous pressure of pleasant and unpleasant, pleasure and pain. All this is a perfect situation to very quickly accumulate something very, very precious. And it makes sense. Essentially, we don't need to get incarnated, we don't change. The essence is as it is. But that essence likes to experience itself in ever new ways. And that being that is projecting into this world what we call an incarnation. Well, it's not really an incarnation. The being is never incarnated, but projects an aspect into this world and then goes through a lifetime in a human form. That being is not changing the essence, but accumulating something extremely precious to expand that experience of the self, to expand the experience of reality. That's the best I can say. Even expanding is giving a picture that we are imagining something. But we can go through that story in a very slow and painful way. If we are completely forgetful, if we totally identify with that role that we are playing, then all the tremendous pain that belongs to it comes along with it. Then we are also always victims of the situations. Then we are always dependent that things are the way we like them to be, otherwise we are unhappy. Then we are always dependent on the feedback we are getting from the people, whether they like me, whether they don't like me. What are they talking about me? All that stuff is like a heavy burden. We are not going in vain through that experience, even that experience, that slow and painful experience is accumulating something very precious. But it doesn't have to be slow and painful. We can learn to be alert. We can learn to be awake. And then we stop being a victim of the situation, and every moment that intensity of simply being here is really fulfilling the purpose of why we have taken this human form. And life becomes, even as long as the body exists, even as long as that human form exists, a playful, joyous journey through this time-space continuum, getting richer for the experience with every moment. And then we don't doubt it anymore. Even if all the details often give the impression it doesn't make sense at all, the whole damn story does make sense. It's not for nothing that we are coming here. It's not for nothing that we are going through things. And nothing is lost. That which counts can never be lost. People sometimes, when they're getting older, they're losing their mind. Okay, One can think, okay, all what they accumulated on worth and memories is being lost. That which counts is not being lost, cannot be lost. That is there, solid. We can superficially lose our mind. People can become quite limited in their way of interacting with others. Then somehow there is still just some little karma working out. But that wealth of experience one has gone through, and not simply in the mind as a thought, but as a psychophysical manifestation, gone through all that, that has brought something that is not being lost. Even if maybe at the end of the life somebody is not aware at all that there is something richer there, it's still there. And we can accumulate as many riches as we want on this material level. In one moment, it's gone. When we get out of this world, nothing of that remains. But this riches, this wealth that slowly is accumulating through a lifetime, that is not lost, that comes along when the consciousness is withdrawing from this level. I'm asking again you. Is there anyone who would like to say something? Hello, Vikas.
Hari Om, Werner. Werner, my question is regarding chanting of mantra.
Yes.
So my question is, it is said that when we do chanting of mantras for certain counts for certain number of years, the
Mhm.
mantra becomes Siddh. So if we have any problems, we can chant that, and any situation we can chant, and we can come out of that situation.
Hmm.
So does it mean that with chanting of mantra we are um, uh, altering the reality, the physical reality?
If we are doing what to the physical reality?
Changing the reality, like
Changing the
if
reality, right. We are changing the reality, the physical reality continuously. All our emotional responses, they have an influence. All our thoughts, they have an influence. All our intentions, they have an influence. Yes, we are changing, we are contributing to the change of the physical reality all the time. And with a mantra that is being chanted for a particular purpose, certainly that has quite a strong force to change something. So people are doing mantras for a purpose, to gain some city or to gain some wealth or to heal or something like that. And then in the scriptures you find if you do that many numbers and for that long time, then it will work. And if you have the faith that this is so, it will also work. But the numbers, like you can chant a mantra very fast and within short time have many numbers, or you can chant that mantra very slowly but very concentrated, and then one time chanting that mantra will do more than just mechanically repeating 100 times that same mantra. So the numbers that they are giving in the scriptures don't have to be taken too literally. But sure, mantras can be used to achieve something, to change something in the physical world, but it is also a very good way just to connect, just to become aware. And that is the type of mantra practice that I recommend most, that you use the mantra to help you to be self-aware in the present. I'm not saying it's wrong doing the mantra for a particular purpose, but I mean, this is all momentary. We can do something in this world. It's like earning money. Nothing wrong with earning money, but it's momentary. What is more important, that if you are already taking the trouble to chant mantra, that we use that mantra as a help to be self-aware here now as good as we can.
So it will also help me to grow spiritually,
Right, definitely.
and that can move on to the next life also.
That whatever you gaining in this life is there with you. You don't lose it.
Right. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. Hario, Hario. Mantra japa can be a very powerful practice. It's not for everybody. If one has that inclination, if one has somehow the faith to do so, then it's a very easy way to really connect. And often scholarly people, they may say, well, mantra can be helpful a little, but that cannot bring you very far. But this is not the truth. There have been great Mahatmas. They have been doing nothing else but just repeating their mantra, and it has helped them to become in such a way self-aware. They were ready to let go all their obstacles and finally really with their mantra just getting united with that divinity. But one has to have that inclination. If one feels, repeating a word or a sentence or a text again and again, what's the sense in it? If that feeling is there, then mantra is not a good practice for them. It has to come with, one has to like it also, that it can really be beneficial. And there has to be at least a certain amount of faith that it's really doing something. Then the faith comes with the practice as one experiences more and more an increasing depth, increasing sense of peace. Whatever way we are choosing to connect with reality, if we go about it sincerely, with faith, with devotion, that will work. Now, mantras can be given for a particular purpose, for success, for wealth, for health, for developing certain powers. And if one does it with faith, persistently, the effect will also manifest sooner or later. Simply what I just said to Vikas, why spend too much of an effort for something in manifestation when you can at the same time, just by practicing a mantra with faith, with diligence, can connect with yourself, with the essence, This is so much more important than anything that we can achieve. Yet that possibility is there. With mantras, things can be brought about. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to say something? You're welcome to come in some more time. All right, seems not to be the case. Then let's be together for some time, for a few minutes, in a meditative state, in a meditative mood, in a contemplative mood. We have created this space together, although physically we are scattered all over the place. So now we can just be together silently and go deeper into that experience of being here now, conscious, alive. If you are not up and about, it's best that you sit in a posture where you feel rather comfortable, that the body is not interfering too much and disturbing. And relax. No need of trying to get somewhere. Just be here, now. Consciously alive, now. And relax. We don't need to carry burdens on our shoulders. We can let them go. Whatever thoughts come and want to carry away your attention, we need not fight with them. Just don't get interested. Redirect the attention to just being here, consciously alive and relaxed. Here, now, we are touching reality consciously. Here, now. This is the only point where we are touching reality. Not anywhere out there in time and space. Now, in the timelessness of the now. No need of strain. No need of trying something. Just simply be here, now. Breathe and relax. And then we can consciously let the life energy flow in the body, taking again more control of that instrument. After that, when we get up, go out, we still can connect. Can keep this connection and just observe the whole story that is going to unroll again. But no matter what is happening, there is always the possibility to bring the attention back to this timeless present. That sense of presence that we are touching immediately when we say I. The more we do so, the less we are victims. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.